G'day guys and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, we've covered fullback, we've covered 5'8", we've covered halfback, we've covered hooker, we've now got the lock. Now I personally think the lock should be part of an NRL spine. These players are, in my opinion, just as important as your halves, your dummy half and your fullback. So I think this is the perfect time to rank my NRL locks. So before we do, let's jump in and see who we've got. Now, I've gone off Zero Tackles article of every team's best 17-man squad for round one, or whatever it is. Best, I can't remember, but I've taken this from Zero Tackle. Now, there might be things that you disagree with. There's some things that I tend to disagree with. But we'll go through one by one and see who's who, basically. So first off, we've got Adam Elliott for the Knights. We've got Hopgood for Parramatta. We've got DeBellin for the Dragons, Murray for the Rabbitohs, Victor the Inflictor for the Roosters, Joe Offahengawe for the Tigers, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. You could also maybe put up the argument for Trey Mooney to get there. We've got, that is Ryan Sutton for the Doggies. You've got for the Sharks, Dale Finucane, Ray Stone for the Dolphins. We've got Gerbo for Manly, Joshy King for the Storm, Curran for the Warriors. We've got Jason Taumalolo, Isaiah Yeo, Paddy Carrigan, and Tino. Now, I think this is arguably going to be the hardest list I've had to make. I guarantee you this is probably going to be the one where I draw the most. I wouldn't say, look, you guys don't hate. You guys don't hate. There's no hatred in the comments, and I appreciate that. But I think this is going to be the most debated list I've done so far. If you guys agree with me, thank you so much. I appreciate the support and you guys agreeing with me, because I do think that this might be where I create a bit of division in the comments. But anyway, let's jump in and start with number 17. And unfortunately, now basing this off, this is basically a power ranking of how everything finished in 2022. This isn't about their career. I'm basing it basically off current form. So I'm getting that out of the way now. I'm going Hopgood at number 17. Now, you guys might say, that's a stupid pick. We all know how good Hopgood can be. Look, I have Hopgood as one of the best players in the 2023 season, like the most improved, best player to watch. Keep an eye out for him because he's going to be amazing. He's in every one of my fantasy teams, whether it be Supercoach, Fantasy. I think he's going to be great. But we just haven't seen enough of him to give him that yet, especially not in first grade. So while I think he's going to be amazing, I can't rank him higher than 17 at the moment. All right, next up, going Ray Stone. Actually, no, sorry, I'm going Joshy King. Now, he does his job for Storm. He's not the flashiest lock. He can't really create something out of nothing, but he's a hard worker. He gets in, he gets the tackles, he takes the hard hit-ups. He does what Storm need him to do, but at the same time, he's not the best player. I think 16th is a fair ranking for him. I know I'm going to get a few of you guys disagree with me on that one, especially Storm fans, but I just can't rank him higher than 16th. All right, next up, I am going big old Ray Stone. Again, I think Ray's in for a massive year with the Dolphins. He's in all my fantasy teams as well, but he's been injured. We don't know how he's going to come back from this injury. He was good with Parramatta, but he wasn't great. He also had a very good forward pack around him. He might be even better this year because he can take control of this forward pack. I don't know. It's just there's too many questions about it. He's 15 for me at the moment, but that could definitely change come the end of the season. All right, next up, it's a little bit tough, but I'm going Jack DeBellin. And I know Dragons fans are probably going to come at me and say, mate, how can you have DeBellin below Joe Offahengawe, Ryan Sutton, Corey Horsburgh, Bloody, I don't know. Adam Elliott, mate. Look, I think Jack DeBellin is still a really good player, but ever since the suspension and all that crap happened, he's really fallen off a lot. And I would actually be surprised if he does get that number 13 jersey. I have heard rumours that Jack Bird will start at 5'8", so that could free up that jersey for him. But if Jack Bird doesn't play 5'8", I do think Bird gets that 13 spot, and unfortunately, DeBellin misses out. So I can't have DeBellin any higher than 14th. Dragons fans, I'm sorry, but that's the way I'm going with that one. And I know I probably will get a little bit of a disagreement in the comments. All right, next up, I'm actually going Ryan Sutton. Now, Ryan, he's been good for the Raiders, but he hasn't been great. I am keen to see him in the Bulldogs pack. I do think he will have a good year for the Doggies, but again, while I think he did have a better year than Jack DeBellin, and I think consistency will take him higher than Jack DeBellin for that reason. I can't see him above any of these other players. Speaking of my next pick, Joe Offahengawi does what you need him to do. He's a tough player, can play in the front row, can play at lock, can probably cover the second row as well. I'd arguably say he could cover dummy half. Like, he's a very versatile player, but I just can't have him above any of these other players. I think he's a great player. I'd love to have him on my team. I think, he'd be an asset to any team he played for. But unfortunately, I can't put him any higher on the list. And personally, I think he's either going to be a bench player this year or starting in the front row, because I do think Justin Matamua or Johnny Bateman will get that number 13 jersey, but I'm just going off what Zero Tackle had. So unfortunately, I can't rank Joe Offahengawi higher than 12th. All right, in number 11th, I've gone with Adam Elliott, and it hurts me because I think he's an absolute weapon of a player, arguably one of the best defensive players or defensive locks in the game. I think he's going to do a world of good for the Knights, but it's just the lock competition is one of the hardest to pick. It is so difficult because there's just so many quality locks. I've got to have Elliott number 11. I do. We're getting real green around here. Number 10, got Corey Horsburgh. You could alternate these two players. I think either or could be in number 11 or 10. But I've gone Corey Horsburgh. I just like the aggression and energy he brings. I think he's a very underrated and to a degree underutilized lock. I think he's going to have a massive season in 2023 after what was a pretty decent year in 2022. So he is my first lock in the top 10. But if you guys were to say that you'd prefer Adam Elliott above him, I would not disagree. I think both players are outstanding and both deserve to be in the top 10. All right, we're getting down to the tough end of the stick here. Number 9, I'm going Josh Curran, and this one might be a little bit of a controversial take as well, but I really rate Josh Curran. I think he's an outstanding player. I think he deserves to be in the top 10. It's just I can't have him above any of these players because these are all absolute weapons of players, and what they do is just amazing. So I love Curran. I'd say he's one of my favourite non-Rabbitohs players. He just does the hard stuff, does the dirty stuff, does the stuff to try and help his team win. Love Curran, but unfortunately 9th is the highest I can go for him. All right, next up, number 8, going Gerbo. Nicest guy in the NRL, I reckon. He's like the Boban Marjanovic. I'm probably butchering his last name, but he reminds me of Bobby. He's just such a gentle bloke, but on the field he rips and tears. Look, I'd love to have him in higher than this, but I just think that the players in this that are remaining are slightly better. I do think that injuries like with his brother have plagued his career a little bit. But yeah, look, I think 8th is a good spot for Gerbo. I know a lot of you guys will disagree with my next take, because he probably, to you, he probably doesn't deserve to be higher than Gerbo, but I just like what he does, and that is Dale Finucane. And the argument will be, Gerbo's an Origin player, he's an Australian player, and that's fair enough. But what Dale does is I think he's such an underrated player. I think Cronulla did amazing to sign him. People were like, no, he's washed. He's not going to amount to anything anymore, basically. And I think he's proved them wrong. And I know I'm ready for it. I know in the comments you guys are going to roast me for this. But I honestly, and this is, clip this if you want, clip it. I don't mind. But I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to be the most controversial take I have ever had. But I would take Dale Finucane at my club over Gerbo. And I'd love them both. Honestly, I think they're both amazing players. But it's just, I just love what Dale represents. I think he's an outstanding player. He's just such a good leader as well. I know Gerbo is as well. And it really hurts me to put Gerbo at 8th and Dale at 7th. I might change it at the end. I don't know. But at this point of time, in my mind, I think based off last year, I think Dale had a better season. I really, really do. No, I'm leaving it like that. You know what? I'm sticking strong with this, regardless of what you guys say in the comments, because I know I'm going to get roasted. But honestly, I think Dale had an amazing 2022. I think he's just such an underrated player, and I think he deserves more props than what he's given. And I hate doing this to Gerbo, but yeah, I've got to have Dale at number 7. All right, number 6, and this is where it gets even harder. I'm going Jason Taumalolo at number 6. I know, bold pick, but if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I'd say 100% he's definitely up there in the top 5. But he's fallen off a bit of late, in my opinion, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben Cotter got the lock position over Jason Taumalolo. But yeah, look, I've got to go Jason. I honestly have to go Jason, number 5. Again, number 6. Again, it hurts me to do this because I love Jason Taumalolo. As most of you would know, I was born and bred in Central Queensland, so very close to the Cowboys. So I do have a soft spot for some Cowboys players. Jason Taumalolo is one of them. I love the work he puts in, but I think he's slowly starting to fall off. And I think these 5 players below had a better 2022 season than Jason. And off that, I've got to put Jason 6. At number 5, I'm going Paddy Carrigan. What he did last year was outstanding. I thought he was just a breath of fresh air that Brisbane really needed. The suspension late in the season really derailed the Broncos' season, and they just couldn't bounce back from it. I honestly think that Paddy Carrigan offers more to the Broncos than a lot of other players do to their club. I really do. I think he's the heart and soul of Brisbane. The Broncos need to build around Paddy, and if they were to lose Payne Haas or a player like that to secure Paddy, I'd be doing it 100% of the time, because I think Paddy Carrigan is the embodiment of the Broncos. He's the heart and soul of Brisbane, and he is just an outstanding player. And that's why I've got him number 5. Number 4, I'm going Big Tino Fa'asua Malawi. Big Tino, I think he is an absolute weapon of a player. Whether he's playing in the front row or at lock, doesn't matter. He's doing a job. I have heard reports that Aaron Clark is going to be the player to get that lock spot. I don't think that should be how it is. I'd have Tino there 100%. I think he just offers more there. His ball handling is a lot better, in my opinion, than Aaron Clark. I know Aaron Clark is a dummy half, realistically, that's moved to lock. Well, he can play either position. I just think Aaron Clark would be better utilised as a utility off the bench because Big Tino is just an outstanding player. All right. This is where you guys might actually agree with me. I reckon these last three. I don't reckon you guys. I don't think I'm going to have anybody in the comment section agree with me about any of this. I'm just going to put it out there. I reckon you're all going to disagree with me on this, but I reckon this top three you might agree with. Number 3, I've got Victor Radley. Victor the Inflictor. Played for England in the World Cup. Honestly, did them really proud. He was outstanding. I'd say arguably one of, if not their top 3 best players. He just, whoever he's playing for, whether it be England, New South Wales, or the Roosters, puts his team on his back and he just goes. He works hard. He gets the jobs he needs to done. He is a workhorse and he does the extra stuff as well, man. He's basically a 5'8" in a lock's body. He can create something out of nothing. I just love what Victor is. He's an outstanding player and definitely deserves to be in the top 3. Cameron Murray for me, easily number 2. I think the gap between Victor and Cameron has just opened up. I think Cameron is by far the second best lock in the game. He's also an outstanding leader, which definitely helps his cause in this one. I think, Cameron Murray is he's a future Australian captain, New South Wales captain. He's captaining his club at a very young age, I might add, and he's doing such a good job. I think Cameron Murray, just outstanding. And then obviously number 1, Isaiah Yeo. It's no surprise. He's the best lock in the world at the moment. I don't think the gap is as big as people think between him and Murray. I do think it's a decent size gap. Like, I don't think Murray will catch him this year, but I do see Murray potentially having a better career down the track than Yeo. But at this point in time, I think Isaiah Yeo easily the best lock in the game. Guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Oh, I know I'm going to cop it. I know I am. And I'm ready for it. So hit me with it, guys. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys don't hate on me too much for this one. But I do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in every day. When I upload content, well, not every day anymore, but every time I upload content, you guys are the first to witness it. So thank you all so much. And thank you so much for your support, guys. The podcast is going pretty well. If you're not subbed or you're not following my podcast on Spotify, it's called The Great Rugby League Podcast, guys. Go and check it out. But that is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.